You can access the entire episode now on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, Rokfin, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Even speaking for myself, it was easy to not realize the damage that I was doing on a daily basis because it's what I grew up eating. It's what my parents fed me. It's what the norm was. It's what all the commercials and television told us to eat on a daily basis. It's what we've been programmed to put in our bodies. Like I said, it's really easy for people just to not realize the damage they're doing because they don't notice it while they're in that state. But once I started to cut out all the crappy food and pharmaceuticals, it's easy to tell the difference of how you felt before versus after, especially after you go through that detox period. There's a huge difference in the way you feel, right?
Definitely. I think you can learn to eat more intuitively. Food carries energy. You know what is good for you. It is really a sign of how diluted and how much self-hatred we have that we think that the way we eat is good enough for us. The processed food, it's poison. And I think most people realize that at some level. But yeah, we don't think that there's any other way. And so we are just happy to eat poison. And from big agriculture, big food, big pharma, it all ties together. They feed into each other, and it all makes big sick care. It's not health care. It's managing the symptoms of all of the sickness that people have and making those companies very rich, but doing nothing else for humanity.
As far as a solution to that, the easiest thing is to be able to grow our own food and have sources for good organic food that we can trust. But the hardest part about that is getting started. Even for myself, it took forever for me to get into a rhythm of starting to build onto the small things that I started with just by planting a couple of seeds. And the hardest part was, like I said, just getting started with that. What would you tell people that are interested in trying to become more self-sufficient but don't really know how to get started or what to do?
Oh yeah, I got 4 things that you can do. And you can start from an apartment in a city. You can start from anywhere. And the change, you will notice the change just from doing any one of these things. The first one is grow something that you can eat. And it could be an herb in your windowsill, a little bit of basil, and then you can make some spaghetti sauce and put that basil in there. That will be a plant that you cared for and you looked at every day. Hopefully you're sending it loving thoughts. You've watched it mature and grow up and then lovingly harvested it. And when you eat it, it will nourish you much more than if you had bought basil in a jar. And so grow something that you can eat, and you can get more creative. Once you get hooked on it, you'll plant something else. If you have a way to make a tomato plant in a pot or a tiny backyard, you can grow some little lettuces. Grow something that you can eat. The second thing is learn how to cook at least one thing from scratch. And from scratch just means using whole foods. And I'll tell you how to recognize a whole food. It probably doesn't have a list of ingredients on it, like a banana or a chicken doesn't have a list of ingredients. But if it does have a list of ingredients, there are fewer than 5 ingredients, and you know what all of them are. If it's a word that you would have to look up to know what it is, that isn't a food. Yeah. So let's stop pretending that that's food, it's something else. So learn how to cook something from scratch. Like I said, tomato sauce is wonderful. A roast chicken, whatever it is, have your signature dish that you know how to cook really well, that you love to eat, and you will find the wonderful way that you nourish yourself when you prepare something for yourself, cooking it from scratch. And then this kind of leads into the next one, and that is eat meals with other people. It could be people that you love in your family who live with you. It could be people that are new friends. It could even be people that you don't have a great relationship with, but that you want to improve your relationship. It's impossible to be an enemy with someone that you've broken bread with. There's something about the vulnerability and intimacy of eating together that really changes things. I think we need to bring some sacredness back into our meal times. And so even if you're buying processed food, prepare it lovingly, thinking about the people that you're preparing it for. Or if people prepare food for you, they're doing the best they can. And then you're sitting down together and enjoying this blessing that you've given to each other by cooking with for each other.
You're so right about that. I'm thinking about the times that I've visited with my folks or family, and it was them that would approach the weird woo-woo subjects that I was interested in while we were having a meal together. I wasn't about to bring up any of this stuff, but my mom or dad would be like, hey, what about this or that? And I was spitting out my food like, what did you just say? So yeah, you're exactly right. I think that there is something special about having a meal together.
Yes. And the fourth thing is make friends with a farmer. If you live in central Illinois, come make friends with me and buy food from me. But otherwise, find a farmer's market and make friends. Have a relationship with someone that you can look in their eye and see what kind of day they're having, and have them show you respect and a little bit of love, and buy something from them and take it home and cook it that night. Very different to see the person who grew your food. If you come to my farm, you can walk through the garden, you can see how I treat my chickens, you can see how precious I treat the plants, and you can look in my eyes, and there's a saying that you should never eat a meal cooked by an angry woman. So by the same token, you shouldn't buy food or purchase food from people who are suffering. Think about the food that you eat in a restaurant or food that you buy in the supermarket. First of all, the suffering of the animals that went into making that food, possibly. The suffering of all the humans who harvested it and processed it and trucked it across the country, the way it's been abused, all of the negative energy it has picked up. Maybe some people were happy, maybe some people were miserable, maybe they were insane, maybe they were possessed by demons. You don't know. And the food carries all of that energy from the time it sprouted until it gets onto your plate. And so making friends with the farmer today, you just know something about the food. And there's a real beauty in making eye contact with the person who grew your food. Plus, if the shit goes down like it might coming up pretty soon, a lot of people say to me, if the shit goes down, I know where I'm going to Becca's farm. Well, if you haven't ever bought any food from me before, or helped me harvest anything, or offered any kind of support, maybe you won't be so welcome when you show up at my farm. But the people who have been loyal customers, or the people who take an interest in and tell me that they appreciate what we're trying to do here, I would be more likely to try to help those people. And I think it would be really good to know some people who know how to grow food around you if you don't know how to grow it yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I want to go back to the other things that on a daily basis we don't realize are affecting us, our health, our emotions, our mental state. Besides the food, you talk about 4 things that can make us sick, 4 main categories.
Yeah, I believe that all sickness is a healing response. It is our body attempting to heal from something. So if I feel sniffles or have an upset stomach, I don't say, ugh, I'm getting sick. I say, oh, I'm healing from something. I got these 4 things that make you sick from Tom Cowan, Cowan. If you don't know who he is, he's a genius. I want to get a t-shirt that says Tom Cowan was right again. He believes in the terrain theory more than the germ theory of sickness. Anyway, I adapted these 4 things that make you sick from him. These are the only 4 things that make you sick. And this is everything from a cold to cancer to heart disease to fibromyalgia, everything.